5 years.
Respected Chief Guest, respected Principal Secretary, who is the presenter today, respected coordinator, panelist, and my dear colleagues, senior secretaries, guests, Assalamu alaikum. I think the last word said by our Principal Secretary that there is only change is only permanent. There is nothing permanent. Only change is permanent. So if we start from that, there was different definition of leadership. We heard about born leaders, we heard about casual leaders, we heard about desperate leaders, we heard about many more leaders. But we know the front leaders are the secretaries to the government. I always believe that secretaries can do any undo, whatever comes in front of him or her, they can overcome all the trouble, all the obstacles, or if they wish, they can do. There was a saying in Napoleon time or Napoleon side, a lion when he is a leader, led rabbits, he do better than an army led by a leader, army of lions led by a rabbit. So, as we can say, whatever we have, we have proved in these circumstances in Bangladesh case that we have made Bangladesh proud. Whatever the vision we have, we made active. কি গল্প করছি, গল্পটা এরকম ছিল যে এক বড় একটি কোম্পানি, বাংলাদেশ শেয়ার করতে পারি, বড় একটি কোম্পানি, খুব ভালো কোম্পানি, হঠাৎ এক বছর অনেক লস করেছে। সবার মুখ চাওয়া চাই, কেন কার কারণে লস হয়েছে, কেন আমরা লস করেছি। নো আনসার। একদিন সবাই যখন খেতে গেছে, নোটিশ পরে একটা নোটিশ লেখা ছিল যে যিনি আজ এই লসের জন্য দায়ী তিনি গতকালকে মারা গেছেন। ওনার ডেড বডি কফিনে রাখা আছে সেমিনার রুমে বা কনফারেন্স রুমে, তোমরা যদি দেখতে চাও ওয়েলকাম। তো সবাই চিন্তা করলো যে আমরা এত ভালো কোম্পানি ছিলাম, সবাই আমরা আমি একটু ডিস্ট্রাক্ট করছি, কেন লস করেছি লেট আস সি, কার জন্য লস করেছি লেট আস সি। তখন ওরা সবাই কফিনের কাছে গেলেন, গিয়ে দেখলেন যে কফিনটা সুন্দরভাবে রাখা আছে, কিন্তু ওখানে একটি আয়না দেয়া আছে, কোনো কফিন না, একটা আয়না দেয়া আছে। প্রত্যেকেই যখন কফিন দেখছিল তখন তার নিজের চেহারা দেখছিল। So for the loss, everybody was responsible. আমরা যদি এই গল্পকে উল্টো ভাবে বলি যে আজকে যে বাংলাদেশের উন্নয়ন, আজকে যে বাংলাদেশের আমরা মাননীয় প্রধানমন্ত্রীর মিশনকে বাস্তবায়নের পথে নিচ্ছি, আমরা যে এসডিজি বাস্তবায়নের সকল পিছনের কাজগুলো ছেড়ে এসেছি, সকল সেটিং আমরা সকলেই কিন্তু আমাদের নিজের আয়নায় নিজের চেহারা দেখছি যে আমরা অল আর লিডার্স। উই ডিড বেস্ট, উই আর ডুইং বেটার, উই আর ডুইং বেস্ট। আমি সেই জন্য এই গল্পটাকে আমরা লসের দিকে না, আমরা লাভের দিকে দেখেছি, এবং লাভ করে আমরা দেখেছি যে আমাদের নিজের চেহারা আমরা দেখছি যে উই হ্যাভ ডান এ ভেরি গুড জব ইন দ্য লাস্ট ফিউ ডিকেডস। সো আজকে যারা নতুন লিডার, এখানে যারা নতুন জয়েন করেছেন এজ এ সেক্রেটারি, আমার পরামর্শ থাকছে যে আমরা ট্রানজেকশনাল লিডারের কথা আগে বলেছি, এখন বলেছি ট্রান্সফরমেশনাল লিডার, যেটি আমাদের আজকে পেপারের যেটি ছিল যে আমরা we will be transformational leader. So there is another saying that know thyself. If we can, it is not micromanagement, but you know your job, you know your departments, you know your people, you know your capabilities, and then decide and see how you can inspire, how you can make them work. That is the job of the secretaries. So I believe the tension we have for the future to make SDGs a reality. I think our SDG survey said is 56 billion per year. 66, sorry, I made 10 million less. The 66 billion per year we have to find out to make SDGs a reality. But I am sure with this leadership, with SDG coordinator, with principal secretary and people in the dais, they can inspire all of us who are in the front to make this 66 billion for the next 13 years or 12 years ahead for every year. I think my time is ready over, so all the best for the secretaries, all the best for the leaders, and I believe we have done it and we will be doing it, but share your knowledge, care your subordinates, care your office, that will give you the return. Thank you very much.
Thank you, madam. You have leaders in public service, and they can make or break anything. And you have advised them to look into the mirror, not as a loser, but as a winner. Now, I have the honor to invite our next panelist, Dr. Mohammad Sadiq, Chairman from Public Service.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. Honorable guest of honor and the keynote speaker and panelists, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. It is good to listen always from Mr. Mujibur Rahman, a learned colleague of mine, and I look forward to listen from him. It was a wonderful paper. Last time, the first policy dialogue, we listened also from him, and yes, it is, I think, self-contained. And my colleagues, of course, we have received some message, and you have received also. The message is very clear. We have to go for change. At the outset, I should not forget to express my apology, unconditional apology for my delayed presence here. And I must not forget to thank the director as well to fry our Fridays morning. And yes, it is the message. There is no free Friday in our life. And I hope that we'll be inviting more during the good time of this Fridays to fry it, and he will be providing us with some fried items also, delicious items. Anyway, change, yes. If it is the elections in USA, the slogan is change. And if it is the election in Bangladesh, Din Bodoler Samad. So everywhere it is, the whole planet is under vibration of change. But change in which direction? Should we change ourselves to a direction where we should not be there? Say, for example, I am a very moderate man, and I am becoming fundamentalist within a short span of time, changing myself. Whether do we need changes? I have my own integrity, but I've started translating my decision into corruption, whether I should change in this direction. I don't know, I must be clear, and message is clear. We'll have to change ourselves in a direction which will be going in favor of the society, state, government, as a whole the planet. So, say for example, in my case, I can share with my colleagues that always it was the PSC's privilege to receive the calls from the secretaries. Please provide me with some people. Please release my my rules quickly. Nowadays, so far my colleagues will give you some examples that PSC is also calling secretaries. That we have any posts so that we can provide you with some people. And we expedite everything in a befitting way so that ministry should not suffer. Let the PSC suffer to settle the matter in a quick process. Moreover, sometimes in my office, I found that whenever the executive ministry is going to sack anyone and sending their proposal to Public Service Commission, so our class they find, is there any procedural mistake or any qualitative mistake or in any offense or in any report there is any mistake. We have given one instruction. You should not judge the merit of the case. You should judge only the process. And if the executive ministry does not want to keep him with them, with this team, why do we want to keep him? So it is standing order. Don't differ with the proposal of the ministry. These are small changes. I think I'm trying my best to make little comfortable situation for my colleagues. And one thing I should not forget to share. We should make our functions visible. Our colleagues, many of our colleagues, they are working, but they are not beating their drum in a befitting way. I request you to beat your drum. Some secretaries are out there. They are private secretaries taking the photograph of each and every meeting, any session, and mentioning that, oh, my secretary is addressing blah blah blah, blah and people are making some meetings with you. But many of our secretaries, or we even, we cannot just make it disseminated to the society that we are working. In magistracy, learned magistrates are over there who are distinguished magistrates in this society, that you should not do the justice only. You should show the justice as well. You should make it visible. So our colleagues, I request you, most of you are working hard. People are rushing, changing, but they do not beat their drum. Don't beat your drum in a way that it is broken, but you beat your drum in a very lovely way, in a musical way, but beat it. Otherwise, people will never listen what you are doing. And beating drum is good. And please listen to your junior colleagues. Yes, this has been given the message by King's Speaker also. To listen juniors, because they are the people of new millennium and we are the older. So if we listen junior colleagues, it would help us to come to a proper decision and to implement, and ownership will be there. And I would like to just recall one thing, that the role of civil service is not visible actually. We should try our best to make it visible to people. And in one meeting, Madam is here, yes, BKMEA maybe, someone from BKMEA, yeah. Say, in India, there is no role of civil service in developing the modern India. So in Bangladesh, it will never be. So we will have to do our own. And I was shocked at the time I was working with the Minister of Public Administration and Additional Secretary. I attended this meeting as representative of the Public Administration Ministry. And I took the floor with the kind consent of the Minister, Honorable Minister. And I said to him, you have said that beauty, he said that beauty and IT developed India. IT and beauty. I said beauty. If the public service of India were not there, the beauty would have been snatched away from Bombay to Dubai by Dawood Ibrahim. And if there is no public service of India, the entire gamut of the IT would have been blown up with the bombs. So civil service is doing the rest of the things. They are not performing at the stage, working behind to make the environment free, to run the beauty contest or beauty something, or IT development or IT something. But civil service is silently working behind. But we must not be more silent. We must be more vocal. And I thank you very much, Mr. Rector, that you invited the business student as well. Last time I've seen Madam Parisha over there as well, and different panels. I request you to invite people to be here. Even some citizens should be here. They should listen to what we want to share with, and they should share their concern with our secretaries as well, our senior leaders as well, so that the proper ventilation and exchange of opinion would have been placed here. And finally, my request to the rector as well, and my submission to my senior leaders, that we congratulate the new secretaries. We write dual letters to my colleagues, but I have not seen or heard anything. While I was promoted as secretary, I was not invited by any senior secretaries or by the cabinet secretary or by the principal secretary. The sick gentleman. It is a big difference from additional secretary to secretary. What you should do, whenever I went to attend the first cabinet meeting, I asked one senior colleague, how should I present my paper? Mullah sir. He said, you address the meeting first, Mananiya Pradhan Mantri, Mananiya Mantri Mahodayagam, Mananiya Upodeshta Mahodayagam, Sahkarmi Sachibidda, Assalamu Alaikum. Ami eta upasthapan korchi. This was his tips. As secretary, I was looking for a tip. I request, if it is possible, the cabinet secretary, rector, SDG coordinator or principal secretary may like to sit with the new secretaries in a small meeting, and they should share their experience, their challenges, and they should give some tips to new secretaries that you should follow blah 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 this thing, minor to majority. Not only policy guidelines, but the tips of assistant secretaries may likely require. And it should be a permanent way or permanent setup that just after promotion, the secretary will be invited at a lunch or dinner or in a meeting with some distinguished senior secretary to share experience with them and to take fresh tips so that he can run the responsible secretary in a befitting way. From my own experience, I tell you, I was actually lacking something from the senior colleagues that they should tell us how should we perform as good secretary. It is there is no prescription to teach change management. It is something creative. No one can teach others how to write poetry. No one can teach you how to change yourself or your team because situation is different. My situation is different. Your place to place is varies. Department to department varies. Ministry to ministry varies. So it is a creative something. So use your potential and use your creativity to change it. I think this will be better for all of us. And finally, this is a transitional time. The election schedule is declared. So we should not compromise with the principle, with the ideology. We should not jump out of the ship to another ship. This is not a proper change. We should not compromise with the ideology, with the principle, with the last time Principal Secretary mentioned the founder of the spirit of independence. The founder of the spirit of independence was father of the nation. And the custodian of the spirit of independence is his daughter, eldest offspring, the Honorable Prime Minister. So, we should learn from our leaders, from father of the nation. We should recognize the spirit of independence, and we should carry it throughout our life, not in the the civil service only to develop this country, because he who does not love his country, who he does not have respect for his country and independence and origin, he cannot be a good son or daughter of this soil. So we pray to Almighty Allah that we should have, we should have that ability to carry this spirit, and eventually, inshallah, we'll be achieving our objective. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for your very thoughtful remarks. You have emphasized that there should be no free Fridays any longer. That is evidence.
Yes.
That is evidence of more reports. That kind of reports we would need to achieve SDGs and Vision 2041. And you have emphasized direction of change and beating the drum, of course, after doing something. And listening to the juniors as well as stakeholders, interaction and exchange of ideas with private sector, civil society, etc. So now we'll hear our only representative from the private sector, Chairperson of Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Barrister Nihat.
Sanika, very good morning to you all, and once again it's a great honor and a privilege to be here. Not least because I'm the sole representative of the private sector, as has been mentioned. But let me start by saying that, one day you will also be sitting on this side of the table as opposed to your side of the table. And that transition sometimes can be quite painful. So when we talk about this transformation leadership, it is in your hands to make that transformation much easier for yourselves as well in the years to come. As was the case in the first session of this policy dialogue, at that state, a very large part of the power of the state apparatus was sitting in this room, and the rest of that power is today sitting in front of me. You've been doing a job for this country and doing it despite many limitations over many, many years. Sometimes very well, sometimes perhaps things could have been done better. And hence this dialogue today. Why? The question really is, from my point of view, that why do we need to change our traditional manner of public administration, which has evolved from over centuries, from the Mughal times to the British times to a very short but very severe presently colonial period of Pakistan times, to the governance system of an independent country. And that is why we are used to a civil service which has its origins, which has its practices, which has its thought processes based over centuries of a paradigm which is no longer our paradigm. Those were times when we were not an independent nation. Today we are an independent nation. And as citizens of an independent nation, we have very different aspirations and we have very different expectations from those of us, those of you who are entrusted under our constitution with our power. Janagon Shakal Kamatar Utshab. We entrust you with our power to work on our behalf. Hence, our expectations are definitely different from what perhaps expectations of our predecessors, of our parents, grandparents' generations used to be. And that is quite a different and difficult dialogue to get used to on both sides, in terms of empowerment, in terms of accountability, in terms of transparency. Saraya has left, but she's now sitting on the Information Commission, and she was saying that it is a very, very different experience to be in an institution where citizen has the right to demand information of what goes on behind the processes of government. We are a constitutional nation, as the Principal Secretary has said. We're one of the countries where, after independence, we got our constitution perhaps one of the shortest possible times. And under the concept of constitutionalism here is that all people are created equal, all citizens are created equal, and are endowed with certain inalienable rights. Governments are instituted in order to preserve those rights. It was the colonial experience of Americans during the British rule, where they thought that the British government, the English government at that time, was not adhering to these premises, and it was for this reason that the colonies sort of fit to establish their own government. And we have seen that in our own life and in our own history as well. The Constitution also does prevent what we set up as a government from expanding its powers exponentially by creating a system of checks and balances through the separation of powers. In fact, with elections in front, it is very pertinent to note the separate organs of state, the pillars of state, the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature is coming up for selection. And these pillars are very, the separation of authority, the checks and balances of these separate pillars are very, very important in this. Now, as I've mentioned, that this evolution of our state from monarchy to feudalism, to colonialism, to socialism, to today's democratic people's republic is what necessitates the evolution of our system of governance and administration, and the esteemed Principal Secretary has shown us that in his slides very, very clearly. Historically, the need and design was for control, be it from London, be it from Delhi, be it from Islamabad, but today the need is for partnership. And now that we know why, or once we know why, it is a matter of design and the how to do this. We know the facts, we know the circumstances. We know what we are dealing with in Bangladesh. We have a small landmass, we have limited physical resources, we have a very large population, we have one of the largest proportions of young citizens. And unless we are able to deal with their aspirations, we will be facing not a demographic dividend, but a demographic disaster. The overwhelming numbers with challenges. It is a challenge which very few countries in the world have to deal with. The challenge of providing quality education, healthcare, housing, food, these are enormous challenges. The size of our economy has expanded exponentially, but the growth needs to continue at an even faster pace if we are to meet all these needs and challenges. So I would ask you to look at the whole issue from a slightly different point of view. As has been mentioned before, and as I very categorically mentioned in the last session, we have had the privilege in Bangladesh of having two of the most transformational leaders in recent history. The father of the nation, who created a nation where nobody thought it was possible, and our Honorable Prime Minister today, who has literally taken us by the scruff of our necks and dragged us into the 21st century. Sometimes it reminds me, the trajectory of Bangladesh reminds me of that of a comet. The head of the comet, glowing, bright, shining, speeding ahead. But some of us trailing far behind. We need to catch up with the head and we need to be there. And for that, we need to embrace this concept of transformation. Now, in fact, last night, two young citizens of Bangladesh were asking me that, so what has the Prime Minister done for Bangladesh? And this is the answer I gave to them, that she has picked us up, she has challenged us every second of the day. We grew up hearing, "Eta সম্ভব না, Bangladesh eta হবে না, জীবনেও হবে না, কিছুতেই পারবো না." Those words are no longer acceptable in Bangladesh. In Bangladesh, we set goals today, she sets goals, and she makes us believe that we can achieve those goals, and we have achieved those goals. And she has made us realize that if we keep doing the things the way we have in the past, we will not keep just marching in the same place, we will be moving backwards, which we cannot afford to do. We will always have to be moving forward. It is not for nothing that we are therefore looked upon as a model of development in the world today. how is this possible? Now, one of my favorite books when I was a child was Alice in Wonderland. I don't know, many of you may have read it, many of you may not. There was a conversation between Alice and the Queen of Hearts. At one point, Alice says, there's no use in trying, since one can't believe in possible things. To which the Queen of Hearts replies, I dare say you haven't had much practice. When I was younger, I always did it for half an hour each day. Why? Sometimes I believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. When I was growing up, let me tell you, and you are, all of you I think almost, except a few younger faces I see in the back are as old and older than I am, we did not believe that Bangladesh today in such a short time would be in the place where it is. It was an impossible thing, but it has happened. Not only have we believed in 6 impossible things before breakfast, we have done it and we've shown it. And we need to keep doing that. I'll give you, how difficult it is to change. If I ask you to change your morning routines every day, just think about it for a second. You wake up, you have a cup of tea, some of you go for a walk. If I ask you to change it, it's difficult. I mean, for me, it's a very great difficulty in waking up on a Friday morning. My esteemed rector, and coming here at 8:30. I mean, it really is an impossible thing to believe, but you have made me do it twice in a row. And I have a feeling that you're going to make me do it a few more times. The morning routine. I've not had my cup of tea, I can't function. I walk into my office, if I have not read the newspaper for 10 minutes, I can't function. But one can. One doesn't know how much one can change until one tries or until one has to. So if you bear that in mind, these mental blocks, we limit ourselves only by our own minds, in most cases. So that, in changing in this transformational leadership issue, that is one of the biggest things. The first step, the one small step, change one thing in our lives, change one thing in our routines, change one thing in our perception and mind, and things will follow. Now, in Bangladesh, the private sector has, and I am going to take a bit of credit on behalf of the private sector for this, shown legendary entrepreneurship and legendary leadership in venturing where very few would have dared to venture. Hence, today, we are the 2nd largest producers and exporters of ready-made garments in the world. We are 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in many things like producing fish, producing various crops, etc. We have challenged our limitations and we have been able to address a lot of them. This has not been done in isolation. It has definitely been done with the help from the public administrative system. The journey began in the 80s to an extent, but it has taken on the momentum of itself, which is based on the idea of dialogue and partnership between the public and private sector. You, the public sector today, are definitely, in my humble opinion, walking the talk. In my experience of more than 2.5 decades, as a lawyer and in business, there has never been a time before when the civil service has been more responsive. And I must thank and congratulate all of you for that. But as the Chief Principal Secretary has said, that even today, we have not reached the paradigm of a fully effective relationship of empowerment to achieve the results we need. I mentioned this last time also, but let me be a little more clear about it this time, that perhaps the biggest power, as far as I, a private citizen, am concerned, perhaps the biggest power in the hand of an officer is to say no. I was happy to hear one of the very senior secretaries present here at our last session say that the idea is to make no the last possible answer, not the first possible response to a problem. If we bear that in mind, many of the difficulties that we even today face are sure to be properly addressed. Now, the challenge of changing the mindset from control to partnership, one of the things which you will hear a lot about in the afternoon session, which is forcing us to do so, is technology. It was forcing changes in process. It was also push us towards changing our mindset, and it will in fact be a necessity. In the private sector, we are often told that our job is to do away with our job, to institute policies, processes, and systems in a manner that the outcomes will be reached even if you are not there. Nothing will be dependent on a single person or an individual. And that is how we should envisage maximum freedom of action for our citizens with an unobtrusive presence and guidance of the public administration system. Disruptive change has been mentioned. Please don't be scared of it. Mobile phones, look at mobile phones. If today I keep trying to sell those, ring phones, it's not going to work. We need to move along with time, or life will pass us by. Therefore, the aim obviously is to do the best for the largest number of our citizens, but always to remember, please, that groups are made of individuals, and each individual has placed his or her rights as a citizen in your hands to do his or her work through the mechanism of the Constitution, through the legislature, the executive, the judiciary, and ultimately through each one of you who are a member of the civil service. Sometimes we tend to forget that. Sarkar becomes an entity which is placed in opposition to the citizen. We tend to forget the individual citizen. That should not be the case. Once again, I cannot emphasize this enough, and I cannot agree more with the Principal Secretary when he says that the relationship of citizen and state has to be based on the principle of empowerment. We have set goals, we are traveling towards it, and as per the SDG goals, and whether the SDG goals are there or not, we shall not leave anyone behind. That was a promise of the father of our nation, and that, I think, is a promise that each of us needs to bear in mind and each of us needs to keep. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Madam, you have also emphasized that no should be the last option for public servant. And I thank you, all the panelists, for your very thoughtful remarks on our keynote speech. And floor will be open for queries and comments by our distinguished secretaries and senior secretaries. And one thing I want to mention that Health Break is comprised of two parts.
Team will be served.
So team will be served here because we are running late to save some time. So we'll have a very short break, 5 minutes only. Tea will be served here.
It's a good privilege.
Go to his home, Cox's Bazar, so he is unable to attend. And in this session, our guest of honor, our very distinguished principal coordinator SDG will be the chief guest of the session. And in the opening session, in the open discussion session, we will be hearing from our distinguished senior secretaries and secretaries. And I declare the floor open. So somebody volunteer, please. Who want to talk?
Yes. It's okay. Microphone.
Better not to address anybody, and that will be delicate from my time. We are hearing very thoughtful delivery of the principal secretary as to change making, and the focus was on the performance, conceptualization, visualization, implementation of the national program to the doorstep of the citizen, to the people, because of the fact that the Constitution, the supreme law of the land, we are duty bound, the whole bunch of people, which includes your and our Prime Minister, the President, the Judiciary, Executive, Legislature, all are functioning under the principle as laid down in the Constitution. Therefore, our role to perform and to elect and bring the result of all policy decisions as either embodied in SDG or in the 5-year plan or in the budget or in the Rupokalpo or whatever should reach to the people sooner the better. Policy dialogue should motivate us, that is true. But can I suggest one thing? Either at the end of the 6 months or 1 year, either in the PMO, that is probably the best place, or at the very start of the new government offering, each of the ministry, the secretary and minister, they should be together and submit the work plan for the year, and at the end of the year, it should be meticulously examined, meticulously taken into account how far they have implemented. If possible, even during any part of the year, and on the basis of that, the allocation, further program, the further promotion, everything should be dependent upon that. The civil service, civil servant, their continuation of service, promotion to the next post, next position should come under the mirror of scrutiny of the performance. And if possible, not tomorrow or day after tomorrow, there should be some way out for the good performer, best performer to have accelerated next promotion and better remuneration, either in cash or in kind. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to congratulate the Honorable Principal Secretary for the presentation made so in a affluent manner. I do appreciate as well as other panelists for the extent of opulence they have shown in their discussion. One thing has seized in me, particularly when our Principal Secretary was built in this paper, that is government should run like business. Government, at the same time later he said that government will be acting as a facilitator. So I would have to come up with the policy he has said next, that government would be acting like as a facilitator. We have a private entrepreneur here, and she is representing a chamber. So quite naturally, whenever we are going to think about the development of the country, but obviously which will come out, what things will be pop up. That is, we have to create an environment. We have to make the things in such a way so the private entrepreneurs can play properly. I could say some of the examples that I have taken over from my working as a commercial consultant in Japan. Whenever we plan to organize any fair in outside the country at the time, I wanted to contract it with the EPP. I saw that the private entrepreneurs suggest they are ready to go over there only when everything will be provided by the government. But our private entrepreneurs are now quite affluent now. Even though sometimes they look for the government. Yes, government will provide everything only after that they take part in the fair. And this sort of mentality, I think it is no more in practice. In spite of that, the government only will provide the environment, and after that they will run the insulin over there so that they will be standing on their own foot. At the same time, they will bring something more investment. At the same time, the country will run better. On the other hand, investment. Yes, investment, it is the primary responsibility of the government to make the environment. Here, that is economic growth, executive chairman is here. So we have been, there is an obligatory about the funded economic goals. Whenever any foreign investors would like to come to our country, they do not take the decisions independently. They think of several factors. The most important factor in my understanding is that whether the infrastructure is quite ready. Now the power sector has reached in such a position now that the entrepreneurs, whether in the country or from outside of the country, they try to see whether the sizable energy supply is available in this country. At the same time, the other supports and facilities, if they get in hand, so in this quite nature, they will be ready to come to our country. Generally, what we see among the investors, they do not come in a country without being seen properly. They do not come in a land which is not chartered to them properly. So that's why I think it is the function of all of us to make the environment in such a way so that we can run, we can make an environment, we can make the facility ready to be enjoyed by the private entrepreneurs. Private entrepreneurs at the same time, they can also, that is, shake their hand with the government. That is the PPP now. So we have joined hand, but the private entrepreneurs, I could see some sort of resistance mentality still now among them to come more in a faster way. So they should come more in a faster way. In that case, the government will gradually squeeze their hand, and at the same time, private entrepreneurs will come in a bigger way. So with this, I'd like to start there. Thank you very much. My name is Abdul Muslim Fazullah. At present, I've been working as a judge in Petrobangla. Very recently, I've been under order transfer to the Ministry of Commerce as Secretary in charge. So thank you, sir.
And the first commentator.
28% on 2018, which was 40% in 2005. From 2005 to 2008, actually every year 1.4% of people has been brought from the poverty line. But sir, this is the net. Actually, the number is much more higher because every year 0.25% people again falling back below the poverty line. Because of mainly three reasons. One is river erosion. Second is road accidents, huge loss of life and property, and also the income. And third one is medical expenditure. So around 2.25% of the population again falling back with the poverty line. So what you mentioned that the Honorable Prime Minister wants to expedite the reduction of poverty, I think it is very ethical if we can address this thing. Well, I will, sir, first make some comments, then I have something for your reflection also. The first one is about the change. You know, the civil servant, the people working here, basically they are resistant to change. They are always comfortable within their paradigm they are staying. And for that, I think two reasons are responsible for that. One is the training. And you rightly mentioned that the syllabus are designed based on theory X, not theory Y and theory Z. Especially I am talking about the theory of management. And the other one is culture. In the culture we are working. As you mentioned, the seniors we had in our early life, and from the fellow officers that we learned. These are the two reasons basically I think is responsible for that. So I just want to give you one example. In finance division, I've been working in finance ministry for last 20 years. But mostly I work in budget and macroeconomics too. But we had another wing, his name was expenditure control wing. I think everyone in the room has some bigger experience with the expenditure control wing. So when I joined here, I tried to change the culture or their way of working of this expenditure control wing. So after 2-3 weeks time, I find that they are actually trying to change my opinion. So what I did, I changed the name of the wing. I named it expenditure management wing, not expenditure control wing. So now I see the officers, those who were working there earlier, now they are still working, but they are behaving in a different way. Because now they think, control is not our main job, managing our is main job. So I find some changes over there. So I think change needs time and also some sort of motivation and inspiration also. In finance division, we are preparing the budget in the MTBF, the medium term budget framework, and the main objective of the MTBF is the linking policy to the resources and resources to the results. But the problem is, in the most of the line ministries we find, the leaders are process oriented, not the result oriented. If you look into the monthly ADP coordination meeting, we ask how much money you have spent. And there is a criteria, what is the development you have made, what is the achievement in terms of physical and other things. Generally we see the marks there. So the ownership of the leaders is very important in implementing the development activities. I want to attract the attention of Principal Secretary sir when you are, deliberating your paper. You also rightly mentioned about the public administration, the evolution, the public management, which is rule and result based, and the new public management that basically comes from the private sector. That is, small government is good government, and it actually introduced during the Thatcher and Reagan era in 1980s. But when we started the MDG and SDG, we find that small government is not good government. It's not enough government. Rather, we need a right government. So that basically the development management concept come in. So I would like to have some reflection from you about the principal agent relationship. We are the agent and the principal is the people. So as an agent, what we have to do and what is our responsibility? I think that sort of dimension should bring in the public management. So I want to do this. Thank you very much.
Most respected Mr. Secretaries, all the honorable panelists, and all of my colleagues. Thanks, Tom. I have nothing to say, but it is my observation. I am very much confident on 3 words. It is the confidence, trust, and expectation. Why you do the work? Why the politics? Why the progress? For what? For the welfare of the people. So, I have to ask my colleagues and all of them, in every place, we have a leader. For the last many years, from the 1971, I think now the leadership of the country is growing the country very fast. That was not happening earlier. Why? Because now the leadership, our Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, is honor the expectation of the peoples. So that's why she is carrying the people. So they're making the advocates and all the politicians and all the peoples to take care of the peoples. That is that we need the vibrant bureaucracy. I have a proposal to you and all of you. Can you change the name of bureaucracy? That is that the negative impact of the bureaucracy in Bangladesh. People thinks that while the people go to the public sector, they will be harassed. So I learned the expenditure control wing is changed to name the management of the finance. So can you change the modern bureaucracy or something else? Then nobody does that. Very important for it. People doesn't believe the bureaucracy. And people doesn't trust it. And if we call, yes, you're doing the mass for the people. People's expectation is going high. যখন এই দেশে মানুষ বলতো একবেলা খেলে আমরা ভালো থাকি, ডাল ভাত খেলে আমার চলবে, মোটা ভাত মোটা কাপড়ে আমাদের চলবে, এখন তারা বলে যে না চলবে না। যার এক্সিও গাড়িটা আছে সে বলে মার্সিডিজ চাই, যার হাতে একটা অ্যানালগ টেলিফোন আছে সে বলে আমি অ্যান্ড্রয়েড চাই। সুতরাং আমরা কোথায় যাব, কতদূর চেঞ্জ হবে? স্যার বলেছেন যে চেঞ্জ ইজ পার্মানেন্ট, দ্যাটস দ্য ইম্পর্টেন্ট। আমাদের দেশে এই ব্যুরোক্রেসি মানুষের এক্সপেকটেশনের সাথে পাল্লা দিয়ে যদি চলতে হয়, তাদেরকে যদি সেবা করতে হয়, তাহলে আমাদের এই ব্যুরোক্রেসিকে ভাইব্রেট যদি না করা যায়, টু দ্য পিপলস না করা যায়। আমি খুব খুশি হয়েছি যে এই পিটিসিতে দীর্ঘদিন ধরে যে সচিব হয়ে গেছে তো হয়ে গেছে, সচিবদের ডাকা যাবে না, পলিটিশিয়ানদের ডাকা যাবে না, তাদের সঙ্গে কথা বলা যাবে না। এই যে একটি চেঞ্জ পিটিসি এনেছে, আই থ্যাঙ্কস টু দ্য ডাইরেক্টর, মাই রেসপেক্টেড স্যার। আমার মনে হয় এখানে পলিটিশিয়ান ছিল এবং দেয়ার ইজ নো সিটিজেন যে আমাকে জাজ করবে। আজকে যে নিউজ সচিব বলে নোট শুনবে যে আমার জাজ করবে, যার জন্য আমার কাজ, তারা কিন্তু আজকে উপস্থিত নেই। আমরা নিজেরাই এখানে বসছি, নিজেরাই কথা বলছি, নিজেদের সঙ্গে নিজেরা কথা বলেছি। আমি ভেবে নিয়েছি ওই লোকটি আমার থেকে এটা আশা করে, কিন্তু আসলে ওই মা, ওই বোন, ওই কৃষক আমার থেকে কি আশা করে আমি কিন্তু স্টেকহোল্ডার অ্যানালাইসিস করি। অনেকগুলো আমি প্ল্যানিং এ 10 বছর ছিলাম, অনেকগুলো প্রজেক্ট আমরা নিয়েছি উইদাউট স্টেকহোল্ডার অ্যানালাইসিস। আমার মনে হয় আমাদের সবাই একটু ঘুরে দাঁড়ানো উচিত। প্রথম হলো কনফিডেন্স, আমি পারি, আমি করব। দ্বিতীয় হলো ট্রাস্ট, মানুষ যদি আমাকে বিশ্বাস করে সে আমার হাতে অনেক মূল্যবান জিনিস তুলে দেবে। মানুষ যদি আমাকে বিশ্বাস না করে সে আমার কাছে একটি পয়সা তুলে দিতে চাইবে। আজকে ল্যান্ডের যে অবস্থা, আমরাও ল্যান্ড নিয়ে ভুগি, প্রত্যেকেরই কিছু না কিছু হলেও অল্প কিছু ল্যান্ড আছে। আজকে ডিজিটালাইজেশন যাতে কত বড় একটি আশীর্বাদ বাংলাদেশের জন্য আমি ভেবে পাই না। এটার জন্য আমি থ্যাঙ্কস টু আল্লাহ, যারা এর আয়োজন করেছে, যারা এর পায়োনিয়ার, তাদের জন্য আমি দোয়া করি। এই ডিজিটালাইজেশনের জন্য মানুষের সময়, করাপশন সবকিছু আস্তে আস্তে সিস্টেমের কারণে আমরা মডারেট হয়ে যাব, সেটা একটা খুব ভালো পজিটিভ আমি দেখছি। সুতরাং আমি সবাইকে বলবো, আমরা দৃষ্টিভঙ্গি বদলাই, জীবন বদলে যাবে, সোসাইটি বদলে যাবে। আর লাস্ট প্রত্যয় যেটা আমি বলতে চাই সেটা হলো জাতি, ধর্ম, বর্ণ, গোত্র নির্বিশেষে আমরা মানুষের কল্যাণে কাজ করব। আল্লাহ আমাদের সহায় হোক। আমাদের যিনি আজকে লিডারশিপ দিচ্ছেন তিনি ভালো থাকুন, সুস্থ থাকুন এবং বাংলাদেশের জনগণের জন্য কাজ করুক এই আশা আমরা করি। আমার কথাগুলো বুঝতে পেলে আপনারা কম সুন্দর দৃষ্টিতে দেখবেন। হয়তো 2 মিনিট আমার জন্য বড় ছিল, আমাদের স্যারকে বেশি সময় নিয়েছি। থ্যাংক ইউ অল, থ্যাংক ইউ অল। এখন আমি আয়োজক সংস্থাকে মানে যারা আয়োজন করেছেন তাদের প্রতি আমার কৃতজ্ঞতা, ভালোবাসা এবং ধন্যবাদ। ধন্যবাদ সবাই।
Thank you for your thoughtful remarks. No one mentioned, we are broadly public servant and narrowly civil servant. And bureaucracy or amla or amlagiri, these are actually phenomenon. And people call us amla or bureaucrat because of our behavior. And we can change it through our actions. Anyway, now we will move on to our ERD Secretary, Manoj.